Saturday, 2nd of May, 2026 at 11:11 a.m. Make a Wish here in Amsterdam, North Holland, the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Welcome once again to our cosmic journey. It is your Dev and Design podcast featuring two gentle boys making the world's best astrology software. I am your designer, Jake. He is your engineer, Trey. Hello, Trey.
Hello, Jake. Do we call ourselves designers and engineers in the world of AI?
No, I think what we're doing is prompt engineering and prompt engineering. Yes, at this point,
Trey knows what we are.
Trey makes a good point. We're not going to talk about AI this week. We have an ongoing thing. The last time we talked about it was episode 110. You can see it up there. We eventually will get back to our big feelings about AI, but that's not going to happen today because we have other big feelings, and I think
very positive feelings
about the world around us. And hopefully you can share in those big positive feelings. Today's episode is called Your Charts Everywhere. Why? Because, and this is part of our positivity, we had a moment where Trey and I were on the street and we could cast a chart on a mobile phone. It's so cool. It's also going to be part of the check-in question today. But after we get to that check-in question, of course, we're going to talk about the Aspectarian. We're going to talk about the kind of full syncing and what playwrights, you've seen the playwright test before. It's in that episode up there. And we'll talk about, other stuff. But before we get to all that, of course, we get to the check-in question. I'm just kind of glossing over the big details today. Why not?
Why not?
Mr. Henry, hopefully you're ready for it.
I am super ready for my check-in question.
As you heard, we were on the street. We cast a chart from our phone. And while it wasn't perfect, nor even great, it was good. It did inspire a question that I had for you, which is a little bit more functional, not so silly for a check-in question. Now that you can cast charts on your phone anywhere, what are the kind of horror-y charts that you're looking to cast now with our software? Like where, for the listener that doesn't really know about horror-y, the idea is that you cast a moment in time to answer a question, and that moment astrologically can be determined, to give you an answer either positive or negative or neutral about like how the planets were aligned and what it means to your question. And now that we can do it on mobile so easily, I'm wondering what you want to do with the horror charts of your future.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm not much of a practitioner of horror, so I don't. I always kind of really wanted to get into it because I am a geomancer.
I know, I do too. John Frowley, the books are right back there.
Yeah.
And I want to read them
really
so
good
bad.
Stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, and Lily, and I think the tradition of astrology as we understand it in a modern context really comes through horror primarily through William Lilly. And so there is just a glorious tradition there. But I think for me, it's less about horror and more about what was the space weather at a particular moment. So sometimes I run into a friend here in Amsterdam, and it's usually when I see this person, some fun things happen. And it's always interesting to me to be able to go back, if I can capture a chart right then, to be able to go back and look at it and say was there some kind of weird transit that was happening? I have this person's chart as well. So being able to kind of see what's going on in their chart, what's going on in my chart. I think even if it's kind of low stakes like that, it's really good opportunity to practice your astrology skills and really learn interpretation better and things like that.
That's my take as well. I'm looking forward to more low stakes kind of capturing moments of wow, that was weird. Capture it. Wow, that was fun. Capture that. And I especially like the relationship idea of it. When you stumble upon a person and all of a sudden you're like, oh, that was a really chance encounter that was unplanned and really beneficial. And I would love to see what the space weather was at that moment. Even if I don't do a full horror question, as Trey mentioned, just seeing what the transits were looking like and seeing if there's something that you could glean from all of that. I'm also looking forward to that. I also think that means that I'm going to have a ton of charts in my account, and that's going to cause problems, but those are good problems to have, and we hope to solve those. Once we experience those problems, we hope to solve those problems for you all. Once you have these beautiful tools in your hands, which we're very excited about.
Yeah, and just to be clear, the problems are primarily in the managing your charts and making that an easy task for you. It's not a technical challenge.
No, the challenge is a nice challenge.
Yeah, we have the ability to store more charts than you can create.
Good check-in, everyone. Good check-in. All right, Mr. Henry, let's talk a bit about Aspectarians. We've talked about this before. Over here, you can see, there she is. This is Cosmic running on the desktop. We're going to take a look at the Aspectarian. So let's go to this pretty great Mars election that I found by accident. And what you can see up at the top is the tab switcher between chart and aspects. I don't think we showed this, where now all of a sudden the chart, you can do it by wheel or by list, regardless if you are on desktop or mobile. So I can switch to a list view of the chart, and that allows me to sort by different things, but I'm going to stick to the wheel because I'm here on desktop. And going to switch over to the Aspectarian, and there she is, the new Aspectarian. It has a way that you can sort. So right now I'm sorted by what's called the classic sequence, which starts with the luminaries and then goes through the planets as you go out in Chaldean order. But you could do it by straight Chaldean order if you really wanted to, or it can understand what the positions of the planets are in the chart and order by that. So you might want to say, I would like to do it in house order from 1st to 12th house, or in zodiacal longitude order, starting with Aries 1. And you can see that it's not only sorting on the left axis here, which is the horizontal, and also the vertical axis. It's doing all of this. And if I click and tap on any of these things, this will go to the placement details. Lovely, lovely stuff. We can also see the placement details on the left-hand side. You've seen all of this before, but what you have not seen, dear viewer, is this guy, by the way. Now we've moved the tab switchers to the top. That's going to be very important for mobile, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But you can also now filter by things like only applying, or you can filter by only separating, or I think the most handy that we have found is only partile. And if you wanted to get to a point of saying like, well, what's happening in my transits right now that is really interesting, I can do go to now, GN, and I can do only partile, and I'll do by the classic sequence, and I can look at what's happening right now in the space weather today that is interesting from a aspect point of view. So we have a partile separating aspect between Jupiter and the moon. Interesting, cool stuff. But you might be saying like, this is all fine and dandy, but I would like to see this when we are doing transits on a birth chart. And now you can see only the partile aspects in the classic sequence as we're talking about transits now between my chart and the now chart. And you might say, well, I want like this to be at the top, so we're going to move that in, and that will switch the top and the bottom. So now my birth chart is on the left-hand side. How can I verify that? Because we're in Aquarius and the sun here versus the sun, which is separating square right now. Wonder what that means for me. You let me know in the comments, of course. So we have this dual moment, and you might remember in a past episode that we've got these little eyeballs over here that we can turn things on and off. Maybe you just want to focus on the single moment aspects for a second, because these are only the cross moment aspects across all of the points and planets that we have said are important as part of our perspective, which uses this Jake Alcabitius, but I could change the perspective here to say I would rather use the Cosmic Hellenistic. And what it will do now is one of them will have all of the planets that we care about in the one perspective, while the other one will do the other, which is very nice. And then you might say, well, I want to focus on same moment aspects, not the cross moment aspects. Very easily done. You don't have to delete them anymore. All you can do is turn off the eyeball. That used to work. So what used to happen was that would show just the one moment. Oh, I wonder if I refresh if it will show the one moment now. Sure does, but now it's gone. You know what? Something happened. I broke something. It happens. All right. Anyways, Mr. Henry, that is where we're at with the aspects. Now, how all of this looks on mobile, we'll find out in a little bit. But before we get to that, Mr. Henry, do you want to show us the full syncing of the chart then?
Yeah, and this is just a playwright test. We talked about this last cycle, that we have the, yes, I'm pointing, we have the ability to use the application as a user would use it in an automated scripted fashion. And we call these end-to-end tests, and they're useful for determining the quality of the code and making sure we don't regress in features that we are shipping. And one of the things that is very difficult to test in sync is a number of scenarios where you might have several things happening at the same time, or you might create something and delete something at the same time. These are scenarios that most users are not going to hit, and in fact, they're kind of hard to hit. And this is why being able to reproduce them reliably in a test suite is very important. So I'm just going to show one of these, which I think is super fun and interesting. So we're over here in Playwright, and we showed this UI before. And I'm just going to show this test right here, which is syncing parallel chart creation. So let's go ahead and run this one.
It runs.
So now that we've run the test, you can see that the test is passed, which is why we have this little green arrow.
No.
And what did the test do?
It seems like lots of stuff.
It did a lot of things. So it created an account behind the scenes, and then it logged in one context, and then we've shown this before. It ran through the first run experience, and after going all the way through the onboarding, it got to the chart page, expected that to be there, and then it went to the chart list page. At this point, we fire up another, what's called a context, but it's basically another instance of the application. And you can see that in the timeline up here, where we have two separate timelines. We navigate to the application, click on login. We log in with the credentials that we already used, and go to the chart list page, which just has that one chart. Now, this next little section here is going to be, each context is going to do the exact same thing. So you're going to see there's two actions here where, as you can see with the little dot, the little red dot on the screen there, it's clicking on new chart. It's doing that in both screens, in both contexts.
At the same
time. So it clicks on new chart, and then the new chart dialog pops up, and it clicks cast. It just casts the chart based on the default values. And then we expect in both cases that the chart loads. And then in both cases, we navigate back to the chart list page. Now, we have each one is showing the same thing, but they haven't actually synced yet, because we have the original event chart, which was synced, or the original birth chart that was synced coming out of the first run experience. And then each context has a new event chart. Then we wait a little bit, and we expect both contexts to have three charts, because each context's new event chart
should go back to each other.
Exactly. So, and as you can see here, we had one that happened. There's a 3-second window on these things. I have a separate thing that I want to do, which is to improve the speed of these tests by just having, in the test context, the timeout for the sync be a lot shorter.
Yeah.
But it's 3 seconds right now. And you can see that the one synced in that same cycle. So the second one to create the event would have sunk in the same cycle, because the mutation for the event would have already been queued from the other one. And then that original one took it had to wait another cycle in order to get the one that was sunk from the other one. So yeah.
They're trying their hardest to.
Yeah, you can see the time windows here, 3 seconds versus 6 seconds. And yeah, and then we just ensure that they both have a count of 3 and close. And so this is, again, not something you would try very hard to try to click the now on both charts at the exact same time from 2 devices. But with this test, we're able to demonstrate that this works, and also it works reliably. So we run these tests every time we have significant code changes. And this ensures that if we change things related to sync, we don't break these scenarios.
Yep.
So we're working very hard to make this a very reliable product for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's really, really critical for our trust, the trust that you place in us.
And hopefully one day the trust and maybe a couple dollars or euros that you place in us as well.
Yes. Give us your money.
Give us your money one day. Also, these end-to-end tests will help with things that I had already showed you where the Aspectarian did not respect the turning on or off the thing. So it's like the cross of features can sometimes get a little funny, and tests will become more and more expansive. You always want to test everything. You can never test everything, not every scenario. But as we learn about where things can break, we will put more focus on making sure that they don't break in the future. That's just what good, durable software engineering and design looks like.
Yes, and also making the judgment. We don't have infinite time, and there's just the two of us. And so we have to decide what provides the most value, not only in what we implement, but also in the test coverage that we create. If sync goes badly for you, that is a very bad experience.
Yes.
You might lose charts. You might not have things show up on devices, have things desync. It's a really crappy experience.
Terrible.
Whereas if the Aspectarian doesn't show like one versus the other when you hide, it's annoying, but it's not going to like it's not going to ruin your data or whatever. So there are things that it's really, really important for us to get correct. And then there's things that we would really like to get correct and we feel embarrassed if they break, but also it's not going to ruin you. You're not going to be ruined.
I hope not. We hope not. To that end, Mr. Henry is talking about how you can test to the edges of things using Playwright, like how you can get these things to sync up in ways that no human is expected to be able to do on their own. So we can test the durability of the engineering of the code. We also can do the same thing with the design. And if you see here, what I have plugged in and what we'll show in a second is this teeny tiny little iPhone that's incredibly old. It's super small screen. I think this is the original size screen, like for iPhones. I'm looking at Trey.
That's my old phone, so
it's an old phone. It says Trey's German sim on there, but that's
not true anymore.
That's not true. Long ago. But anyways, this size is not something that we support in Cosmic. But the idea, and certainly the age of this phone is not something we support in Cosmic. For the purposes of like durability, isn't it fun to take a look and see whether it works or not? Well, let's find out together. And here she is. This phone is plugged in and is routing through here. And all I'm going to do is launch Cosmic. You're going to see at the bottom, there's a lot of stuff that is from Safari that's going to be blurred out. We don't want you to go to the very publicly accessible URL right now to try this out because you will have a bad experience. So this is for me and Trey right now. And if our demos are going to be consistent, this will not work where it used to work before. But here we go. And this is Cosmic. This is Cosmic. It's also syncing as well. I'm in light mode right now, but I can, of course, switch from stellar light to stellar dark here. And maybe, the ones that I see most often are simple dark. Let's just go to simple dark for a little bit. Because she's a simple phone. Why not do simple dark? And this is all syncing. And if I were to cast a new chart, and hit cast like that, there it is. This is the new chart, and I go back. This is syncing to my account right now, which is super cool. If I go to the birth moment with transits, you'll see that it's a little bit broken right now, where the squares, because it's so narrow, all of this stuff can't fit in here. But given the age of this phone, and there's no expectation that it's supposed to work here, it's kind of a delight to me how amazing that this actually looks and works on a super, super tiny screen. Again, this is broken as well with the speed graph, but it's still like you can still see
it's usable.
It's usable. You can see all of the cross moment aspects. There is this moment's aspects. There are the essential dignity and all of the planetary condition there. Let's see if I can find one that actually has. Yeah, Mars is doing all right. So Mars is in rulership right now. Slowing down, but Its speed is fast. That line right there, that dashed line, is about whether it's fast or slow, not whether it's above or below average.
Although in this case it is.
But we don't have to go into great detail about it. That's how we talk about that. Yeah. And you can even go to the Aspectarian and do a reasonable job here. So let's only filter by partile again. And there she is. There's the partile that we talked about between the moon and Jupiter that's happening right now in this event chart. So pretty cool stuff.
Also, you can see the wheel chart. It's super tiny.
So yeah, you go here and it will default to the list because it says you're on a super small screen. I can, in fact, go to the wheel chart here, and there it is. And also, this is a ticket that I'm working on right now. I want to be able to zoom in on the wheel chart without zooming the rest of the browser. But I can't do that today. But I can look and be like, oh yeah, there it is. So if you desperately want to use a wheel chart, she's there for you. I'm telling you, it's a screen like this. You want to use a list. It shows you so much more data too. Anyways, I'm done convincing you all. Anyways, super fun, right?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Amazing.
When you pulled that up on that little tiny phone, I was like, oh my God.
It's never going to work. And here we are, working like a charm.
Working in all of the ways that we want it to work.
Working in all of, this is as good as it's going to be when it looks, but like, for some reason, all the rounded corners went away. We don't know why. It just happened. Like, this is a super old version of Safari, but like Trey says, it syncs. It shows you the planetary condition. You can hit the new here. There you go. You now created a transits, and you can see the inner moment. You go all the way down. There's the outer moment. So yeah, it's great.
Amazing.
Tap that. Love it.
Getting close.
Mr. Henry, it's getting close. We're getting so close to putting this in your hands, and we're so excited about it.
I am personally extremely excited about what's coming, what I'm working on in the next cycle, and I'm really excited to share that on the next one. But
tune in next week for what that is going to be. But until then, Mr. Henry, what should the good viewer do with the rest of their weekend?
They should collect the first rain of May, if they have not already, because I mean, when they see this, it might already have happened.
I hope that you've collected the first rain of May.
Hopefully you collected it.
I hope you did that. And if you did, wash your hair with it.
Yeah. Everybody will find you wildly attractive if you wash your hair with the first rain.
For how long? We're not exactly sure.
Yeah,
let us know in the comments.
We don't know.
Duration, you just let us know in the comments how long lustral water helps with the desirability when you wash your hair with it. Be well. Take care. Have yourself a beautiful and wonderful first weekend in May, or whatever day you watch this video. We love seeing your faces every single week. We hope to see you again next week. Until then, goodbye.